This is Scott the Fix-It Guy. Today we're dealing with a Viking oven where the door won't close. We're going to be replacing these two hinges. This red arrow points to a little silver pivot that you can use to open the door and keep it in a wide open position. It makes it easier to take out the hinge and put it back in. So here's the part number for the new hinges, and the right and left are the same, so it's the same part number. And first thing we do is open up the door. Some of these have a little Phillips head screw that you have to remove, but this model, all we have to do is close the door to about 20 degrees and just lift up, and it'll come right off of the hinge arms. So that's what we're doing here. We're lifting it off, put it off to the side, and then we can pretty easily remove the hinges. We have to take the hinge arm and pull it out toward us to at least 45 degrees, maybe 90 degrees, and then we can lock it down with that silver pivot. It makes it easier to do this procedure. We're taking out a couple of screws here that hold on the trim plate. That just makes it easier to get to the bottom screws that hold on the hinge. So I'm just pivoting out the trim plate, and then I'm going to take out this bottom Phillips head screw for the left hinge, and then there's a Phillips head screw up here that we take out. And those are the only ones that hold on the hinge. And again, it's better to have the arm pulled out to you to about 90 degrees. This hinge was broken, so it's actually pretty easy just to pull it out. So I'm going to wiggle it out of this little chamber. Here's the hinge and then the spring. It had kind of fallen apart. So we're doing this similar procedure on the right hinge. Again, if you can take the arm that fits inside the door and pull it down to 90 degrees and then use the silver pivot to keep it open, it's going to make it much easier for it to come out. And when you put the new hinge in, you want to do the same thing. Before you put it in, you want to use a lot of strength and get it to go out to either 45 degrees or 90 degrees. Lock it into position with that silver pivot to hold it, and then it's easier to get it in and out. So just taking out those screws, and then we can pull out the right hinge. Sorry for the lighting is not very good here. It's a little bit hard to see, but it's just those two Phillips head screws. So here's the hinge with that little silver pivot. You need to pull this thing open, lock that pivot down before we put it in. If you put it in at this angle, you're going to basically need to hammer it in for it to go in. So it's better to open it up first, lock it open, and then once it's in position, you can just put the two screws back in. Probably good to move it around until you see the hole on the hinge line up with the hole in the frame. Kind of wiggle it around, and then once you line it up, just zip in the screw. There we go. And then we're doing the same thing on the right side. Putting the screw in to hold it. Do the top one again. Sorry for the poor lighting on the right side. And then we're just going to pivot that trim piece back up and then put in the two Phillips head screws to hold it. We can see that the arms of the hinge are sticking out at about 20 degrees, and that's a good place for when you put the door back on. So we're going to put that last screw in. There we are. And grab the door, we'll slide it back on carefully. onto the two hinge arms, and then close it, open it, close it a couple times, make sure it's moving again, and now it'll be tightly sealed and you won't be losing any more heat, and back to normal. So thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe when you get a chance.